Today's presenter is Niklas Nilsson, an industry specialist, and will be supported during the Q&A part by Henrik Johansson, a material developer for cables and technical rubber industry. Without further ado, I will give the floor to Niklas.
Thank you, Natalia. My name is Niklas Nilsson, and along with my colleague Henrik Johansson, who will answer your questions at the end, we are going to lead you through today's webinar, Tailored Solution for Your Need Within Semiconductive Compounds. To start with, I would like to give you all a short introduction of the Trelleborg Group, which is a world leader in engineered polymer solutions. The company was founded in 1905 and are today represented in more than 50 countries around the world. The head office is based in Trelleborg in the south of Sweden. To explain the broad portfolio of materials and products that the Trelleborg Group are responsible for, we usually say that we produce and deliver products from space to seabed. But who are we standing before you having this webinar? Well, we are of course a part of the group, but we represent Trelleborg Mixing Forsheda, which is one of the 115 manufacturing facilities within the group. We are based in Forsheda, and for those who isn't so familiar with the Swedish geography, we could say it's in the southern parts of Sweden. We produce cable compounds and rubber compounds that is delivered globally. We have our own research and development unit, which gives us the ability to produce unique solutions together with our customers. In today's webinar, we will present 3 different key takeaways. What could help you in your search for a new supplier? Number 1, productivity. The last 2 years have been tough regarding supplies of raw material. Working with multiple suppliers ensures deliveries and gives you a good overview of cost. Having different suppliers with equal materials helps you to assure material deliveries. In these challenging times, it's also of great importance to have short lead times and a supplier that can present multiple variations of compounds. Reliability. When you as a customer starts looking for a new supplier, it's important for you to find a partner that suits you and your needs. It is easy to just focus on the supplier's production and lead time, but there are so much more to have in mind. For instance, don't forget the importance of a functional quality department and a lab, where both you and your supplier can find solutions and answers. Once again, the dual sourcing can be of great importance. A reliable supplier has a broad portfolio of different raw materials that is approved. Flexibility. Flexibility is another important parameter and could be measured in so many ways, like batch sizes, number of compounds, and lead time. To place orders for full containers might be the best way of receiving the cheapest compound, but is that really true? To bind large volumes of compound in stock could perhaps be more expensive than buying the right volume just in time. There are a huge range of different cables of different applications, but the 3 major segments we usually divide the different cables into are low voltage with cables below 6 kV, medium voltage, cables between 6 and 66 kV, and high voltage cables over 66 kV. As you can see in each segment, we have mentioned some typical cables for each area. If we should talk about all different cables in all different segments, this webinar of 30 minutes would have to be extended to hours or even days. So with that information in mind, we have chosen to narrow today's webinar into one segment, which is the medium voltage. When we start to talk about medium voltage cables, we should keep in mind, as many of you know, that there are many ways of constructing a cable. Different layers, different conductors, both in material and appearance. but shown on the slide is a typical medium voltage cable. If we start from the right side in the picture, we have the conductor. It carried the electric current and is the central element of the cable. The conductor is made of copper or aluminium. Number 2, internal semiconductor screen. We will talk about that later. Number 3, insulation. Insulation is the critical component of the MV cable, since it must withstand the high electric field inside. The most common materials used as insulation for MV cables are cross-linked polyethylene, XLPE, or ethylene propylene rubber, EPR. Number 4, we have the external semiconductor. Number 5, we have the conductive water blocking tape. Number 6, metal screen. Medium voltage cables have a metal screen in contact with the external semiconductor. This screen is made up of copper fibers or tape, covering the whole perimeter of the cable. Layer 7, non-conductive tape, protection against water. Together with the conductive tape, this layer protects the cable from longitudinal ingress of water. Layer 8, outer sheet. This is the outermost layer of the cable and protects the cable from the mechanical and chemical aggressions, as well as to the action of the weather. And then we have the last layer, which is semiconductive skin. Since we at Trelleborg Mixing 4-sheeter only works with layer 2, 4, and 9, we will penetrate these segments during this webinar, and we really hope to broaden your understanding of these compounds. Let's start with the internal semiconductive screen. This material covers the conductor completely. It is made to improve the distribution of the electric field and surface of conductor. The internal semiconductive screen is extruded on the cable and must be a non-metallic screen, and it needs to be bonded firmly onto the insulation. The internal semiconductive screen is most often a polyethylene-based material. Deciding factors or common issues. When you contact your new supplier to discuss a new compound, there could be a lot of pitfalls. By forgetting some details in your conversation, the process could be prolonged, and in worst case scenarios, it could cost a lot of money and time. From our experience, we see 5 areas that are crucial and needs to be discussed when starting a conversation about a new compound. We have the curing method. We have the viscosity and processability, water treating risks, adhesion against the conductor, and aging demands. How to avoid pitfalls. I think you should go back one slide, Natalia. Curing methods as a first step. Always inform the supplier of which type of curing method that is used. CV cured materials usually contains peroxides, while the ambient moisture cured materials require a catalyst. Viscosity and processability. Ask your supplier of receiving temperature conditions. That will help you adjust your equipment's settings when using the compound that is suggested. This affects the processability of the compound. This can be very helpful when using the material in your production, and a great topic to communicate around if anything goes wrong in the process. Water treating, which stands for the electrical breakdown of the insulation due to the impurities or damages. It is of great importance that you inform which type of insulation you are going to use. Since if an insulation is extremely sensitive for water treating, you might need to choose a material that supplies an extra smooth surface to reduce initiation points of water treating. Normally, XLPE is more sensitive for water treeing, while EPR, on the other hand, is more forgiving to water treeing issues. Adhesion against the conductor. If the cable is produced with a solid conductor, you might need a certain kind of material that ensure a certain adhesion against the conductor. A stranded conductor is more forgiving and permits a wider range of materials. Aging demands. Consider specific aging requirements when choosing materials. This information is very important to reach the producer before suggesting a material. All these requirements need to be communicated to the supplier so that a suitable compound could be suggested. Now let's start looking at the external semiconductive material. The material completely covers the insulation. This material is cross-linked and in perfect contact with the insulation. There are two different segments to choose from: bonded or strippable. Bonded semiconductive material should connect with insulation tightly, and to be able to prepare it for connections, you need a certain tool. Strippable or peelable semiconductors are partially bonded to the insulation. This material is usually used to make the preparation of the connection as easy as possible when you, without any specific tool, can remove the material. Deciding factors for external semiconductive materials. From our experience, these 4 areas are crucial to be discussed when starting a conversation about a new compound. We have the curing method, viscosity and processability, strip force, and standard requirements. So, how do we avoid pitfalls? Start looking at the curing method. Much like the inner semiconductive material, the curing method is an important factor. The silan cured materials cannot be used in a CV line, and likewise, a peroxide-containing compound cannot be ambiently cured. Viscosity processability. The viscosity of the material in combination with viscosity of the insulation is very important to make sure that no mold falling occurs when extruding the 2 layers. Likewise, the processing parameters could affect the stripping properties of the material. Let's talk about strip force. A strippable insulation screen behaves differently depending on which type of insulation it will be connected to. The same strippable semiconductor can stick harder to an EPR insulation than to an XLPE. By informing the supplier which insulation you are using, different options can be available. Standard requirements. Always inform if there are any certain standards that the material should fulfill. As you all know, there are many different standards from different countries. Many standards have different requirements on physical properties. Aging could be performed with high temperatures or extended time periods. The hot set cable test is a straightforward means of determining if the material has been sufficiently cross-linked. Another way of determining cross-link density is the wafer boiling test. These requirements need to be communicated to the supplier so that a suitable compound could be suggested. By informing the supplier in an early stage, you will avoid expensive and time-consuming recertifications. Last but not least, we have the semiconductive skin. Semiconductive skin compounds could be used on medium and high voltage cables. It may be used either as a complete jacket or as a thin layer extruded on top of the regular jacket. Usage areas. One use of these kinds of compounds is for buried cables. Before covering the cable, you need to make sure that the cable jacketing doesn't have any damage. By using the semiconductive skin, you can easily check for short circuits and thus find breakages in the jacketing. This is a quick and easy way of confirming what the protection of the cable has not been diminished. If it is used as a semiconductive skin, it's co-extruded at the same time as the outer sheet. The layer protects against UV damage and possibly even lightning damage. It needs environmental stress cracking resistance, and as it is applied on the outer part of the cable. Could also be used on high and extra high voltage cables, since it is not a part of the electrical function of the cable. Where to start? Information required. To summarize what you should consider when choosing semiconductive compounds for your cable construction. Which standards should the compound comply with? Which insulation type is used? Should the layer be bonded or strippable? If strippable, which strip force is desired? Are there any special conductivity demands for the cable construction? And then we have the process and the curing conditions. Solutions that delivers results. Our solutions. Well, we can offer material within 3 different segments. We have the bonded screen material, which can be used both as a conductor screen and insulation screen. We offer modified compounds for special requirements. And our materials are aligned with material standards, with market standards. Then we have the strippable screen materials. These are always used as insulation screen. We offer tailored strip force for different insulation types. We also deliver material in different viscosities range. We have more than 40 years of experience, and our solutions comply with many standard requirements. Last but not least, we have our semiconductive skins, and they are thermoplastic. They are usually used for buried cables, but could also find other usage areas. They have good stress cracking resistance and gives an environmental protection to the finished cable. These materials could help you perform an easy test to confirm that the cable has not been damaged. Let's look at some key differentiators. Better function. It's all about making the right choices from the start. Your products are important to us, why we need to find the best customized compound for you and your production. We have many different compounds. Let us together find the right compound for your needs. Testing and approval are important both for you and for us, and we are here to support you. All-in-one, tailored solutions for your needs. Trelleborg mixing fortskärda can produce a certain compound for your needs. For example, we can adjust the compound to improve adhesion to conductor. We have also helped customers to improve processability and improve the strip force. Better business. Every detail counts if you want to stay ahead of competition. All substances that we are using in our compounds are REACH and RoHS compliant, which protect the people and the environment. Contact our material specialists to have discussion in what way we can help you and your business. We stand ready to help you identify optimization opportunities. In these challenging times, it is more important than ever to have a supplier that have a wide portfolio of materials and compounds. We are working close to many of the EPR insulation suppliers, which can help you in your search for the perfect match. Why develop the wheel once again? A couple of steps to improve productivity and reliability. It could sound simple, but by using the right compound, you can increase productivity. Today, Trelleborg mixing fortskärda has multiple suppliers of raw material. This helps us to be competitive both in cost optimization and for deliveries. Since we are not producing any insulation materials, we have chosen to have a close cooperation with the leading EPR insulation suppliers around the world. Better flexibility. Flexibility helps your business. Don't lock unnecessary assets in your stock. By choosing us as a supplier, you can buy the volumes you're interested in for the time being. Buy the right volume that suits your needs, just in time. Our production is built in a way that allows fast adjustments. That means that we often have the possibility to rearrange and meet your demands on lead time. With over 40 years of experience, we have plenty of different compounds that we can choose between. Flexibility helps your business. We deliver full containers or just a few metric tons. We can also split the delivery to optimize the cost. By that, we mean that you could order a couple of different compounds in different volumes in the same delivery. You sometimes forget the importance of the right packaging. We can offer smaller or bigger octagons that are emptied from the top or the bottom. If you have problems with moisture, we can place the compound in aluminum bags. The variation of packaging is huge. With more than 40 years of experience, we become your flexibility. Let us help you finding the right solution for you. There is always room for improvements. To underline the information you have just been given in the presentation, we want to present a case study. We received a challenge, and a manufacturing company contacted us to see if we had any ability to help them. They had problems in getting the internal semiconductor screen to attach to a solid conductor. After several tryouts, the time for the project was running out, and they were afraid that they would lose the business. Our solution? Well, our material specialists sat down with their technicians, and after a first meeting, we had the information we needed. They found out that there was one material that seemed to work, at least by looking at the technical data. But to be sure and not lose any more time, we sent them the original compound, but also an adjusted one. Result? Well, the original material or compound worked out well, but not 100%. While they made the trials parallel, they saw that the adjusted compound was spot on. From our first meeting down to the result, less than 1 month had passed. The cable still needed to be tested, but the problem with the adhesion was solved. Today, the cable is approved and up running, and our cooperation has strengthened and has given us both many new opportunities. Let's look at our key takeaways. Productivity. The past years have been challenging for all manufacturing companies. Those companies that have had dual sourcing during this period have had a benefit. By working with a producer that can deliver multiple variations of compounds, there might be a compound suitable for your needs just in front of you. Reliability. We know that high quality and performance is top priority for your business. That is why we have our own lab and several dedicated material specialists ready for your needs. By working with many suppliers of raw materials, we certify deliveries even in the most challenging times. Flexibility. It might not be the first thing to discuss, but that makes it nevertheless important. The flexibility helps you in good and bad times. Don't place big volumes and big money on stock if you don't need to. Short lead times help you to order just in time. But if the stock goes empty, it's also important to receive fast deliveries. A supplier that can offer you different compounds in various packaging could be a lifesaver. If you want to dive in deeper, well, scan the QR code and you will be redirected to our website. There you can find more information on how to contact our material specialists. Thank you so much for listening, And now feel free to pop your questions and we will try to answer them.
Thank you, Niklas, for your presentation. Let's see if we get some questions in the chat.
Yes, feel free.
I stand ready to answer your questions.
Here, I see that we have a couple of questions. So let's start with the first one. Do you offer any silent cross-link materials?
Unfortunately, at the moment, we don't offer any silent cross-link materials. We know that there is interest in the market for these kind of materials, and we are looking into possible solutions for that as well. But at the moment, not.
Thank you, Henrik. We have another one, so let's move to the second. You mentioned just-in-time deliveries. What are your standard lead time?
Niklas, that is maybe a question for you.
Yeah, it's a marketing question. Well, depending, of course, on which materials, but we usually say 2 to 3 weeks from order, we stand ready to ship it. So, yeah, 2 weeks.
Thank you, Niklas. And another question is coming in. Why should we choose a strippable compound?
Well, there are many factors in choosing either a strippable or bonded compound. It mostly is basically down to the culture of the cable buyers and installers. The bonded compounds require a special tool, a lathe, to strip the semicon from the insulation. With the strippable semicons, you can basically have just a knife with a set deep, and then by using longitudinal cuts, you can remove the strippable layers easily by hand. So there's a very low chance of damaging the insulation when using strippable compounds. But first of all, it's basically down to the cable installers and what basically their technicians are used to having.
All right. We have a fourth question, and this is which strip force range do you offer?
We basically offer strip force ranges both in XLP, towards XLP insulation and EPR insulation that are all the range from banana peeling, which is very low strip force, up to almost bonded. So 5 to 30 or 40 kilonewton or Newton per centimeter with the 180-degree test.
Okay, we have another question, and this is what is the energy cost impact so far in your compounding cost? 2% more, as price is always a huge barrier as well. We need to find balance.
That is a marketing question as well, I think. So the energy cost.
Yeah, of course. And just can you say the question once more?
What is the energy cost impact on so far in your compounding cost? 2% more, as price is always a huge barrier as well. We need to find a balance.
Yeah, of course. Well, yeah, the energy cost is a critical discussion at the moment, but we have chosen not to. Well, this is we get the energy cost from our suppliers, but we don't add any extra energy cost on the prices. But since the prices have increased from our suppliers due to an energy cost, yeah, it does impact. But it's hard to say because it's depending on which supplier we have. So it could be from 1% up to 4%. But in our production, we have still not placed any energy cost on top.
And we have still another one. What's your raw material forecast in 2023?
I don't know what they're meaning. If they're saying what we have placed forecast for, or what we think we will sell, because it looks very promising for 2023. We have plenty to do and much orders coming in, and we have placed a forecast to our suppliers to secure material, of course.
Someone is raising the hand, so this is James. I'm gonna allow the microphone, so maybe he wants to ask another question. Yes, do you want to ask any other question? Don't see any more. Oh, here it is, yes. Here, in terms of price, do you offer strippable compounds based on CSM rubber for strippable EPR insulation? Is it possible to obtain good strippability in such combination?
Do you mean a semi-conductive insulation screen based on CSM? That is a new solution for me in that case. Okay, and it might be worth looking into, and I see that the polarity of CSM should be good enough, so it might be possible to create a strippable solution in that case. It's a new question, but it might be worth looking into. If you send me an email afterwards with a more in-depth question, and we'll take it from there to see if we can find a solution for it.
So I don't see any further question in the chat. So I think that was the last question. Oh no, sorry, another one. I almost missed it. We have, what is your typical polymer in your semi-conductive compounds?
We usually don't say exactly which polymers we're using, but we're using ethylene copolymers.
And another one, what is the max kV can you semicon obtain so far, certified?
I think we're certified up to 50 kV at the moment. We do have some tests up to 66 kV as well, but 50 kV we say that we have certified.
Right. Let's see if we have any other question. I think no. So I think this was the last question. Thank you, Henrik and Niklas, for your explanation. And before concluding, I would like to ask you to share your feedback with us. The link to the feedback form will be available in a minute on the chat. Oh, it is already available. I also want to let you know that soon we will send the full recording of the webinar. And that's all for today. Thank you very much for joining us and submitting your questions. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Thank you.